Hello YouTube and welcome back. I'm going to continue the series that I've done a small number of videos on already about advice for PhD students. You can see it's getting more seasonal at this time of year, so please enjoy the highly distracting Christmas tree in the background. I thought I'd talk about one of the, again, more common issues for students, and that's when you get right to the very end of doing your thesis and it can seem to really drag at that point, and it almost feels like it's never going to be over. Hence the title of the video. I think there's a few things to bear in mind in this stage. It is something that most people go through. For example, it's very common that everyone is going to have to do lots of iterative refinements to their thesis as you get towards the end of it. Get comments from a variety of supervisors or other people that you may not have interacted with so much, external feedback that may involve different types of analyses, bringing things in, maybe even going collecting other bits of data, and it can be time consuming and it can be stressful. I think one of the things you'll have to bear in mind is, one, it's not just you. Most people have to go through a protracted period at the end where you feel like you're almost done, and then you keep getting a little bit more work, and then you have to keep revising it, or maybe you have to take up another piece of employment. So having a drag towards the end of the PhD where you feel like you've been finished or almost finished for a good number of months is usual. It's not fun, but it's not just you. Lots of people go through this experience. It's also a point where you get to realise that it's where the benefit of having good relationships with your supervisor and other people comes into play. Because when you get to that point where you're grinding continuously against a piece of work, it's useful to, one, have other people to send it to look at, so you can step back a little bit yourself and get some perspective, because if you really go at the piece of work, it's hard sometimes to see the wood from the trees, I would say, and it's useful to have people to send it to so you can take a break and do something different. Different people have different mechanisms for getting back in the zone for writing and correcting. You may want to just do something completely different. Could be, I don't know, my supervisor used to go golfing when he got blocks for writing and things. And it's useful to have that space to go and do something completely different from what you're working on in terms of your thesis. And also having those connections of people who are willing to look at it and provide comments where you can give you an alternative perspective about how you could overcome some of the challenges and changes you need to make. It's liable that you will have to be patient at the end of writing up your thesis, because it takes a variety of different stages to get you to where you need to be. Having said that, you do also have to balance the fact that it's never going to be completely perfect. It's very large. Quite often, unless you're a prolific book writer, you won't have to do this scale of editing ever again, or maybe only a handful of times in your life. So it's not the kind of skill most people have already cultured into themselves about how to edit hundreds and hundreds of pages of manuscript at a time, getting it all knocked into order. So I wouldn't worry about getting rid of every single typo of every page, of every table, of every graph, of every appendices. Just get it to where it needs to be, I think, is quite often what happens, because it can be a real drag. It takes a lot of time, and you just need to get through, pass, finish, graduate, move on to the next thing, whatever it might be for you. So I would say, yes, you have to grind and put the effort in to get it finished, and it may be difficult, but don't be so detail focused that you're trying to get rid of every single last little thing, because it just will drag for too long if you do that. The final point I would say, and anyone that's got this, oh dear God, how much more will this go on for, feeling about their thesis, is just keep in mind about the end goal as well. Realise that you are actually quite close to finishing, even if it's dragging, and that just that little bit more effort will get you to where you want to be in graduating, getting the qualification, and all the doors and opportunities that will open up for you, which it actually invariably does for pretty much everyone. So keep in mind while you're doing it, there is a point, a purpose, and an end to what you're doing, and it just involves a little bit more struggle, and you'll get there. So yes, positive, but not so focused on details that you get blinded to the mission at hand, which is submission and meeting the threshold for basically finishing the whole PhD. So hold in there if you're in that space. It does it happens, but you get through it, and many people are a testament that the fact that it's difficult but it's possible. Just try and keep going. That's all the advice I have for you today, and yeah, happy Christmas if I don't make anything before now. Okay, bye bye.